Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. 9 days left in the season. Everything remains very quiet. Just looking at the tracks this year. Really interesting to see these tracks because you can really tell that we had that very persistent Bermuda high. All these storms just wrapping around that, heading up very close to Bermuda with a number of these storms. But the other thing that you notice, it was very quiet across the Gulf. All we had was Barry into the western Gulf, and then we almost made it the entire season with a very quiet Caribbean. It wasn't until we had Melissa, which started out very slow. Remember, it was dealing with a lot of dry air, some wind shear. Things just weren't looking all that promising, and then the models just really started to latch on to this idea that this storm was not only going to intensify, it was going to intensify very rapidly, and the steering currents were very light with this, and so it did tend to meander for a number of days. And then once the conditions came together, this intensified amazingly fast and became one of the strongest hurricanes on record, devastating Jamaica. Since then, things have been quiet. You look at that big wide view, and there's absolutely nothing going on. Of course, we're right at that tail end of the season, so you don't really expect to see a whole lot, but you look into the areas that you would normally be watching if you were going to have something this time of the year, would tend to be across, say, the western Caribbean and then up into the Gulf of Mexico. You can see these areas are all cloud free. We have that very high wind shear. We've got the cooler air that's been working its way through many of these areas over the past several weeks. So it's keeping everything very quiet. So no formation expected over the next 7 days. We can go ahead and say over the next 9 days, heading all the way into the end of the hurricane season, which is on November 30th. We'll keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.